Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Random Vlogging! I'm running out of weird things to do for random vlogging, so yes, if anyone has any suggestions for weird faces I can make while saying the words random vlogging, comments below in the thing. Today is going to be weird. So I'm going to talk about something that may get people upset with me, may get people really happy with me, but I think for the most part it's just going to confuse a lot of people because it confuses me unbelievably. And that is the Ban Bossy campaign. For those of you that are unaware, the last couple days, actually, I mean, this is really, really new. The last couple days, a woman by the name of Sheryl Sandberg, whom apparently works for Facebook, I think. The details have been kind of weird to me because I've been trying to understand the whole thing and it hasn't been working at all. But anyway, so this woman has launched a campaign where she wants to ban the use of the word bossy because she claims that first of all, that bossy is a gender-specific word that only applies to females or primarily applies to females. And by calling girls bossy, that limits that hurts their self-esteem and limits their ability to take leadership positions as they grow older and enter the workforce. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Now, I understand that I live in my own part of the world and of existence, and it's very possible that I just haven't experienced the same things that this woman has. But first of all, I've never used the word bossy as a gender-specific word. For me, it's always been a gender neutral. I called my brother bossy when he was being bossy. I called my sister bossy. I know I've been called bossy. I never thought for an instant that it applied to only women or applied primarily to women. So that was a shock for me, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense. One of the quotes, and this is almost verbatim, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit because I don't want to actually look it up because the last time I did, my computer crashed because my computer rocked. But basically, she said when boys assert themselves and tell people what to do, they're called leaders. But when girls do the exact same thing, they're called bossy. I've never seen that. I haven't. Not when I was a kid, not in middle school or high school. I worked in retail for 4 years, over 4 years. Half of my bosses were female. We never called them bossy because that was a dumb thing to say, whether they were male, female, whatever. You don't call your boss bossy. It's just a dumb idea. And I mean, at 2 different stores that I worked at, I was one of 2 male members of the leadership team. Of all the managers, like I think both of them had like a 5 or 6 manager staff, there were only 2 men on the staff. All the rest were women. And yeah, I just don't see this idea of bossy being only applied to women. And the other thing, from being a manager and a leader, bossy people are not leaders. There's a vast difference between being bossy and being a leader. Someone that is bossy tells people what to do, commands and kind of orders people around. That is kind of by definition bossy. A leader leads people. The idea of leadership implies working with people, getting them to follow you, not do what you tell them. A lot of people that get in, a lot of early managers, myself included, when I first got into management, think that being a leader is being bossy, and it's not. It's almost the exact opposite. Being a leader involves you motivating people to follow you. Being bossy is just telling people what to do, and 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. And if you do get to a position where you are high enough that you can just order people around, I will guarantee you will have high turnover rates and you will have very unhappy employees because nobody likes being bossed around. Whether it's by a male or a female, it's not a good management style. It's not a good leadership style. So the idea that women showing leadership capabilities are being called bossy doesn't make sense to me. Ordering people around and telling them what to do is not leadership. That is commanding. That's being bossy. Leadership is about getting people to follow you. And a lot of times that means doing the things that nobody else wants to do to show the people that, yes, you can follow me because I'm not going to boss you. And it just, the idea of banning a word to me is preposterous. Because first things first, if we have something we want to describe, and this is true, I think, in just about any language. If you have something you want to describe, you will find a way to describe it. So if we ban the word bossy, let's say this campaign is hugely successful, and we ban the word bossy, we will find another word that means the exact same thing. Or we will change the meaning of a different word to mean bossy. We may change assertive. Assertive is technically a positive descriptor. The connotation behind the word assertive is positive as opposed to bossy having a negative connotation. So we may just change the meaning, the connotation behind assertive. We might just go, no, assertive means bossy. But we can't say bossy because bossy is banned. So now assertive is the same thing. And then we will have a ban assertive campaign. And eventually we will just work through all of the words and we'll start coming up with new words. Like that person is actually spurskadert. And spurskadert means bossy. But we banned so many words that now we have to, create words that have no vowels in them. So yeah, this is mind-boggling to me. When I first read it, I was almost offended by the idea that this word would apparently prevent women from getting into leadership positions. But the more I read about it, and the more I've seen how everyone else has reacted to it, like I just read an opinion column in the LA Times that ripped this woman apart. Like hardcore claws out, this was a mean statement. And they brought facts and figures into it about, it was mean. And I've seen the exact opposite side too, where people are like really gung-ho on this. We're like, no, and if you use the word bossy, you're a horrible person. This is nuts. It is a single word. It is a 2-syllable word. It's got 5 letters, folks. We do not need to make this into a 4-letter word. And just, it boggles my mind. Now, again, I understand that women, on a whole, if you look at the entire American workforce and average every single job together, women on a whole are not in as many leadership positions as men are. And you can talk about pay differences and things like that. And yes, I understand that to be true. But me personally, I've never actually experienced that. Again, in my retail career, I've worked with just as many women. I've had just as many women bosses as I have men bosses. For the most part, I think most of the store managers I worked for were male, but I do know quite a few female store managers. I just was never in those specific stores. So I haven't experienced that, me personally. The pay thing, first things first, if you're thinking about talking about your pay in the doobly-doo below, don't. Talking about pay is a really, really bad idea. It's a really, really great way to get a lot of people upset, and it can end your career. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I got paid at any of my jobs, but I will tell you that through just being an observant person and knowing how to talk to people, topics of pay did come up. And I know for a large portion of my career, there were a lot of women doing the exact same job I was doing, not as well as I was doing it. And I don't say that because they're women. I say that because their stores were doing very, very poorly in sales, which is what my job was. And my store was doing very, very well in sales. And that's the only reason I say it that way. But they were getting paid significantly more than I was, you know, a couple bucks an hour more. Which when you're working hourly, that's a significant difference that can make or break your paycheck. So yeah, these are things that I've never experienced, and I understand that in the wider world that I'm not a part of or I haven't experienced, that these are really large, big issues. I haven't experienced them, and the idea that banning a word is going to fix any of them is mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how anyone can just go, well, we are looking here, and do you know what we need to do? We need to make sure no one uses the word bossy anymore. Okay? It's bonkers. Now, in saying that, if you can come up with a really good reason why this is going to work, or even better, if you can find a really well-written article that explains this idea and how it's actually going to affect things for the better, please mention it in the comments below. Let me know your opinion. Let me know, because this, again, it's mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how this works. And the only thing that I ask is try and keep this as professional as possible. I've tried to be as you know, politically correct as I could in this, while still explaining my own confusion about the subject, but fights and stuff like that in the comments are just going to make people angry, and they're not going to help. And linking articles, or you can't really link in comments, but you know, mentioning articles that all they are just attacks like this one I read in the LA Times. That would, yeah, I'm not going to tell you where they, if you guys want to try and find it, go ahead. It's in the LA Times. But I'm not going to link it, because all it is just somebody ripping apart another person because they don't agree with them, and that doesn't get anyone anywhere. Quite literally, it's just a waste of everybody's time. So please, 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 if somebody has a better explanation about how this is supposed to work, or how this is going to improve women in leadership capabilities, let me know. And if you agree with me, let me know too. In the comments, just let me know what you think about this, because to me, I'm kind of flabbergasted. That is all for me today. Be sure to please like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, if you think I'm just a crazy person that doesn't know what they're talking about, you're probably right. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'd like to get a large discussion started about this, because it really is a confusing idea, especially people from other countries. I've got a lot of Canadian friends. I'd love to hear your opinions and how it works in Canada, over in Germany. Scott, if you ever watch my vlogs, let me know how it is over in Scotland. I would love to see how this works around the world, and if the rest of the people around the world find this as bizarre as I do. All right, again, that is all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow for Friday Feature Focus. I apologize about the length. Bye-bye.